In the wave of Disney's live-action remakes, one just might end up taking the cake when it comes to critical success and audience enjoyment. Yep, we're talking about Mulan, a live-action reimagining of the 1999 smash hit. This is everything you need to know about the upcoming take on the beloved Disney classic. Audiences will have to wait until March 27, 2020 for Mulan's triumphant return to theaters, just over 2 decades after the original film's release date in June of 1998. The 2020 release date isn't surprising, as Disney already packed 2019 with remakes and revivals of animated properties Dumbo, Aladdin, The Lion King, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, and Lady and the Tramp. With so many live-action films coming out at once, it's nice that we'll get a little bit of a breather before Mulan takes the stage. After all, it would be a shame for the film to lose some luster simply because audiences are suffering from live-action remake fatigue. One thing that's a bit surprising is the fact that, while never on the docket for a 2019 release date, Mulan was actually originally slated to hit the big screen before any of the aforementioned titles. Once upon a time, the remake was supposed to be released on November 2, 2018. Why shift the date by nearly a year and a half? Because it took over a year to find the right actress to play the lead role. Once that was done, the film was locked into the March 27th slot, and it looks like it'll be making the rescheduled date without any issues. So how did the casting process end up pushing the Mulan remake back by over a year? It turns out that finding the perfect person to play the lead role wasn't just challenging, it was about as difficult a task as possible. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Disney enlisted a team of casting directors that visited 5 continents, where they saw nearly 1,000 different candidates audition for the role. Talk about doing your homework. It makes sense though, as you don't meet a girl like this every dynasty. The casting team wasn't just looking for actresses who had passable martial arts skills and could speak English fluently. They also made a top priority out of finding someone who was ethnically Chinese as well. After spending such a gargantuan amount of time and effort, the team finally chose the popular Chinese-American actress Liu Yifei. The choice was a near-perfect one. Liu Yifei is talented and has already proven her acting chops. Along with a string of other projects, the actor has starred in The Forbidden Kingdom and Outcast, both of which saw her holding her own alongside well-established actors like Jackie Chan, Nicolas Cage, and Jet Li.
I will bring honor to us all.
Having worked alongside him on 2008's The Forbidden Kingdom, Liu Yifei is reteaming with Jet Li for Mulan. The martial arts master has been tapped to play the venerable Emperor of China. This is exciting news, even if it's a fairly reserved role, all things considered. Here's hoping they can sneak him into a fight sequence alongside the titular character. In addition to Li, the film has cast Mulan's slapstick trio of fellow warriors Yao, Ling, and Qian Po. Ling will be played by Jimmy Wong, Po by Dua Moi, and Chen Tang will be taking up the role of Yao, the so-called King of the Rock. One significant face missing from the action, though? Li Shang. The hunky commander has failed to show up on any casting reports so far. Instead, it looks like the production team has opted to split Shang's prominent character into 2 separate personalities. Donnie Yen has been cast as the character Commander Tung, who appears to be taking on the role of Mulan's military commander. Separate from that relationship, we have Chen Hongui, played by Yosin An. It appears that Chen Hongui will be a fellow recruit in Tung's unit who bonds with Mulan before the two form a romantic relationship. Of course, even the best cast isn't going to get very far without a good group of people working behind the scenes as well. Fortunately, the story of China's warrior heroine appears to be in good hands. Starting at the top, Disney has tapped Nikki Caro to helm the project. The Kiwi director has already drawn attention thanks to her work on films like North Country, The Zookeeper's Wife, and McFarland USA. She first established herself in 2002 with Whale Rider, a Maori film with feminist themes of family, destiny, and generational divides. Some obvious parallels with Mulan. For all of her past accomplishments, though, a blockbuster like Mulan could launch Caro to new heights. In fact, the simple act of taking the job made her the 4th woman to ever solo direct a film with a $100 million plus budget. If she manages to knock the project out of the park, then the sky's the limit. Along with Caro, a team of 4 writers has been brought on to adapt the story to a live-action format. They include Rick Jaffa, Amanda Silver, Elizabeth Martin, and Lauren Hynek. Jaffa and Silver are of particular interest as they have worked together on both Jurassic World and the recent Planet of the Apes films. This gives them plenty of experience in bringing classic stories into the modern era, which is encouraging to say the least. Before we get too far into the possible direction that the live-action remake could take, let's take a quick trip down memory lane and revisit how Disney's 1998 animated version of Mulan played out. The film takes place in ancient China during the Han Dynasty. In response to a Han invasion, the emperor orders a full mobilization, including one man from every family. This prompts Mulan to buck tradition and go in her aged father's stead, disguised as a young man. She is soon joined by the disgraced family guardian, a tiny dragon named Mushu, and the two manage to convince everyone that she can bring the goods. After training with the other recruits, Mulan's unit sets out to reinforce the Imperial Army, only to find that they've already been annihilated by the deadly Huns. Mulan heroically saves her brothers-in-arms and, the whole of China by causing an avalanche to sweep away the enemy during an ambush. In the process, though, she is revealed to be a woman and is cast out of the army. Finding that some of the Huns, including their leader, Shan Yu, have survived the avalanche, Mulan fearlessly follows the soldiers to the Imperial City, where she alerts everyone to the approach of the Huns and helps foil their attempt to kill the Emperor. Ultimately, Mulan is recognized for her heroic deeds and returns home to celebrations and a visit from her commander, Shang, whom she invites to stay forever. For dinner.
Would you like to stay for dinner?
Would you like to stay forever?
Dinner would be great.
While the live-action remake will obviously be leaning heavily on the 90s animated classic for the bulk of its inspiration, there's also the original Chinese legend itself which the writers can draw from. And based on the gritty realism depicted in the trailer so far, it looks like they're doing just that. Of course, old stories like these almost always have a ton of different versions over the centuries. Naturally, this means the exact details of the legend have varied over the years. That said, Mulan's traditional story takes place in ancient China during either the 4th or 5th century. There are many distinctly similar factors that modern audiences will recognize in the tale as well. For instance, the story always starts with a horde of barbarians invading China. This leads to Mulan volunteering to enlist as her aged father's son in order to save him from having to go to war, where he'll meet almost certain death. She takes her family's heirloom weapons, joins up with the army, and finds success as a soldier. She even falls in love with an officer and is offered a reward from the emperor, at which point she simply asks for a horse to ride home. For all of the similarities across versions of the story, there are also many things that are completely different. For example, while the animated feature manages to neatly fit everything into what feels like a few weeks or possibly months, Mulan actually fought in the ranks as a warrior for a decade. We're talking about a legitimate army career here. Not only that, but she was eventually promoted to general status. At one point, some stories explain that she goes into battle dressed as a woman with the specific intention of inspiring her men by revealing her true identity. It works, and her soldiers gain an even greater respect for her. While Mulan does eventually draw the attention of the Emperor, it's not quite as epic as the climactic finale of the 90s movie. Rather, the Emperor simply finds out that his bravest soldier is a woman and, impressed, offers her a reward. She asks for a horse and rides home, only to find that her father has died during her long absence, at least in some versions of the story. This tragic ending gets even worse in some accounts, as she is forced to become the wife or concubine of an emperor. In the end, refusing to accept this fate, China's greatest heroine ultimately takes her own life. While he didn't have a ton of lines, Shan Yu was a pretty important character in the original animated film, and it wasn't until Mulan literally lit the man up over the Imperial City that everyone could breathe a collective sigh of relief. Despite his importance, though, it appears that the writers have actually decided to axe the big bad from the remake. Instead, the production team is cashing in on a little creative liberty and going in a different, if still quite intimidating, direction. The film has brought in Gong Li, known for her role in Memoirs of a Geisha, to play the powerful witch Xian Lang. The official trailer also sets up another villain, the warlord Bori Khan, but it appears he will be little more than a frontman for Lang's nefarious plans. This shift from brute force to the supernatural is a curious one, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out on the big screen. A trailer also makes a deliberate attempt to compare Mulan to a phoenix, which traditionally sits at the right hand of the emperor and is his guardian and his protector, while also showing the witch literally turning into a bird of prey, indicating a foul showdown of some sort or another is afoot. On top of that, one of the trailers even showcases a duel between the two female warriors. Of course, what would a Mulan remake be without the Guardian of Lost Souls? The Eddie Murphy-voiced Mushu is one of the most fondly remembered elements of the original animated classic.
You the man! Well, sort of.
Mushu superfans should be careful before they get their hopes too high when it comes to the remake, though. While the fan blog Diz Insider did report that a source had claimed the little guy would be in the film, very little information has come out about what his actual role would be. Will we see the powerful, the pleasurable, the indestructible Mushu? Or will we see a live-action alternative that is more subdued and subtle? Maybe we won't get an actual character at all, but merely a quick glimpse of a small dragon statue or some other Easter egg. So far, no one is reported to have been cast in the role, which doesn't bode well for a direct adaptation from the 90s original. However, fans can take comfort in the fact that the cast list does contain an entry for a character named Cricket, which hints that perhaps Mushu's sidekick, Cricky, will somehow be represented. The official trailer seems to heavily imply that the story will be steering into the Mulan the Phoenix angle pretty hard. It even cuts to a shot of a live phoenix while Mulan's father is asking the ancestors to protect her. Perhaps instead of seeing no protector, we'll simply be seeing Mushu swapped out for a more appropriately epic Phoenix Guardian. Check out one of our newest videos right here, plus even more Looper videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.